The News 4 Tucson Storm Tracker 4 Weather Team presents Preparing for Monsoon 2025.
The familiar sounds and sights of monsoon. Good evening and thank you for joining us for this special edition of News 4 Tucson, preparing for monsoon 2025. I'm Storm Tracker 4 Chief Meteorologist Matt Brode. The News 4 Tucson Storm Tracker 4 team has you covered with everything you need to know about staying safe from dust storms, flash flooding, and dangerous lightning. We want you to enjoy the rain we need so badly. While there are no guarantees, the forecast so far is looking pretty wet. Here is your monsoon outlook. If Mother Nature has taught us anything in the past few years, it's to prepare for the unexpected. Much of what we're learning from climate change is that these extremes can and will become more common. Like it or not, intense June heat is required to get the monsoon underway. Here's how our monsoon gets going. Long before we see our daily rounds of thunderstorms in southern Arizona, storms have been long firing up along the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. This is where our monsoon is born. Strong high pressure bakes northern Mexico and gets these storms fired up. Typically, we see many weeks of these hot temperatures, well above 100 degrees during this time. As June turns into July, that high pressure migrates north and finds its home right near the Four Corners. Winds then blow clockwise around high pressure, and with the heat in place, instability providing the perfect recipe for storms to form. We now have our final ingredient in place for rain, a surge of moisture moving into the area from the southeast. So after a dry winter, worsening drought conditions, everyone wants to know, how much rain can we expect this monsoon? On average, Tucson receives just under 6 inches of rain during the monsoon, as defined by the calendar dates of June 15th through September 30th. We're coming off one of our driest winter and spring months on record. History goes back to 1895 here for the city of Tucson, but it's this exact lack of winter and spring rain that actually may increase our monsoon rain totals. History shows that 6 of the 15 wettest monsoons came directly after some of the driest winters, and about 60% of the time, a dry winter is followed by a wetter than normal monsoon. And the Climate Prediction Center agrees that a wetter than average monsoon is headed our way. Now that cooler Pacific waters known as La Nina have moved on out, ocean temperatures have returned to average, meaning we are no longer in an El Nino or La Nina pattern. Forecasters call this ENSO or ENSO neutral conditions that could give the monsoon a running start, perhaps even earlier than usual. In fact, when we look back at the past 5 ENSO neutral summers, again, that means no El Nino or La Nina, 4 of the 5 were actually above average. This includes the historic monsoon of 2021, which was the 3rd wettest monsoon on record. So based on our dry winter and spring, the official long-term forecast from the Climate Prediction Center, and looking at years past with similar conditions, we are happily predicting an above-average monsoon. But as we have seen many times in the past, we can never out-forecast Mother Nature's plans. Okay, so we have a few reminders that just might save your life. Driving around barricades is illegal and dangerous. Never drive through flooded roadways. Turn around, don't drown. Avoid storm drains and washes, and make sure you don't let children play near them. If your vehicle gets caught in rising water, leave it, move to higher ground. Remember, it only takes 10 inches of water to float cars, vans, SUVs, and trucks. And when in doubt, wait it out or find yourself a safer route. Preparations are now underway to help keep Tucsonans safe on the roads during monsoon. It's all part of the city's Operation Splash that's now in effect. City officials with the Department of Transportation and Mobility say crews are staging over 500 barricades at about 100 dip crossings throughout the city so that when the rain does come, well, they have easy access to move to barricades into place if needed and keep the public safe. blocking off potentially dangerous roadways.
During monsoon, our DTM street maintenance division is on standby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with these storms. So they're called out. They're monitoring washes when that water is flowing. They're monitoring the National Weather Service so they can get out there quickly and close those roadways where that water is coming.
Okay, so the city is doing their part, but they're asking you to do your part as well. Remember to obey all the barricades in place, and even if there isn't one, don't drive through a flooded wash.
If you see those barricades in place, turn around. It is not worth it. You do not know the condition of the roadway underneath that water, and just find an alternate route.
Okay, there it is. Lightning, it can strike at any time and any place and can be deadly, especially during monsoon. In the United States, lightning kills about 20 people each year and injures hundreds more. So remember, folks, when thunder roars, head indoors. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Dee Cortez is talking to the experts about those dangers from above and below.
Lightning can strike at any time. In fact, people are often struck outside heading to and from their car. So it's important to remember during monsoon that you are never safe outside during a thunderstorm. According to the National Weather Service, only 10% of people who are struck by lightning are killed, but the other 90% of victims have some degree of injury, some of which can last a lifetime. We spoke with Dr. Lourdes Castanin, who is the burn program medical director at Banner. She tells us that injuries related to lightning can be mild to deadly.
And it can be from something very mild that leaves almost no signs on the skin, just a little bit of scarring, to something much more damaging, such as like a 3rd-degree burn with a blowout.
Castanin tells us that blowout injury happens when the current enters the body. It expands while traveling through the soft tissue, so when it exits, it bursts out, covering a much larger surface area. Our sister station, KPNX in Phoenix, interviewed Corey Melker back in 2015 after he was struck by lightning while hiking with a group in northern Arizona. One group member died, and Melker's injuries included numerous blood clots throughout his body and burns.
Your brain can't handle it. It's like resetting a computer. The pain itself is, even medicated, is pretty intense.
As monsoon approaches, remember to plan ahead if you plan to spend time outdoors. And remember, there's no safe place outside during a thunderstorm. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Dee Cortez, News 4 Tucson.
And here are some tips to keep you safe during a lightning storm. First things first, if you hear thunder, move indoors. Once inside, wait to use any plumbing like showers or sinks. Plumbing conducts electricity, folks. This is not a myth. Never touch wiring during a storm. If you still have corded phones, they can be dangerous. Lightning can travel through the telephone wires and can kill you. However, cell phones are safe. Unplug expensive electronics, including TVs, stereos, computers, or at least make sure they're plugged into a surge-protected outlet or power strip. And don't play video games that are connected directly to your TV. Till the monsoon rains begin this year, the chance of wildfires remains high. We've already seen it here in southern Arizona with the Bryce Fire, Cedar Fire, and Cody Fire. The Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management tells us an invasive tree called salt cedar helped the Bryce Fire grow to more than 3,000 acres. From October to April, the nonprofit Gila Watershed Partnership uses chainsaws to remove salt cedars near the Gila River. News 4 Tucson spoke with one volunteer about these efforts to reduce fires from becoming bigger in southern Arizona.
It is an honestly Arizona-wide issue, and some people think we could just like let them burn and then the weeds will be gone, but it burns everything else. It burns like twice or even hotter than what our normal fires would burn at.
Saguaro National Park says it is also trying to eradicate the tree. Officials there say salt cedars aren't only highly flammable, but they also take lots of water and compete with native plants, sometimes displacing them. That's why researchers say it's so important to take action such as creating areas for fire breaks. Leaving native plants alone and weed eating and burning invasive ones also helps prevent fires from spreading. The Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management has some tips for preventing fires. First, drivers are urged to secure tow chains so they don't drag. That can cause sparks and start a wildfire. And never pull your car over off the road into vegetation. Check weather before burning anything. Have a shovel and water nearby if you do. And if you are camping, always put out your campfires. Make sure you drown, stir, and repeat. Coming up on this special edition of News 4 Tucson, as things are heating up, are you ready? Knowing what to do can be the difference between life and death. And still ahead, temperatures can become blazing hot inside of a car. We're telling you how to avoid an accidental catastrophe when it comes to your little one. And welcome back to this special edition of News 4 Tucson, preparing for Monsoon 2025. Well, you cannot have the monsoon rains and storms without first experiencing that heat. And being prepared can be the difference between life and death. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Dee Cortez joins us once again with what we need to know so you're ready to deal with the extreme heat.
We're approaching the hottest time of the year here in Arizona, and so many people underestimate just how dangerous it can actually be. Here's some tips on how you can keep you and your family safe. As you make outdoor plans for the summer, it's so important to stay hydrated and drink more water than you think you need to. Outdoor activities like hiking can put you in a dangerous situation if you're not prepared. Gladys Chavez hikes several times a week, and she helped a woman who said she was feeling dizzy.
They didn't expect that it was going to be this hot or that they would get tired so quickly. Like I said, people underestimate the desert. All of a sudden, you're losing all this water and, then you're dehydrated.
I spoke with Jay Carlick, who's the assistant fire chief with Rural Metro Fire, and he says that if you know you're going to be doing something outside, you need to be prepared.
Whether it's recreation or yard work, it's best to hydrate beforehand and try to schedule those activities in the morning before the heat of the day comes on you.
It's important to know that if you don't hydrate as you sweat, your chances of suffering from heat-related illness goes up. The earliest signs of heat exhaustion include muscle spasms or cramps in your arms, legs, or your abs. You may also feel dizzy or nauseous. And if you ignore these signs, it will only get worse. He says the best thing that you can do when you start experiencing those symptoms is to get indoors and drink as much fluids as you can to avoid a medical emergency. If you have to work outside, or if you know you're going to be outside for long periods of time, remember, wear loose, light-colored clothing, and most importantly, know your limitations. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Dee Cortez, News 4 Tucson.
Good advice there, Dee. And excessive heat has proven deadly in the past. In 2024, there were 107 heat-related deaths right here in Pima County and 608 heat-related deaths in Maricopa County. Staying cool in triple-digit temperatures is crucial to your safety. Some tips to bear the heat include, well, avoid strenuous activity, stay indoors as much as possible during the hottest times of the day, wear light and loose-fitting clothing, and of course, stay hydrated. In 2024, Arizona ranked 4th in the country for hot car deaths during triple-digit temperatures. Within minutes, the inside of your vehicle could reach temperatures as high as 130 degrees. Kids and car safety is calling on the public to be prepared to take action if you see a child or pet alone in a car. You are instructed to not wait for the driver to return. Call 911 right away. If the child or pet is not responsive, get them out of the car by any means necessary and move them to a cooler environment. Dampen them with cool water or wet rags and stay with them until help arrives. Also, keep in mind breaking a car window is legal in Arizona if you believe the child or pet's life is in danger. With extreme heat on the way, it's important to keep not only your safety in mind, but also your pets. On a 100-degree day, the asphalt can reach up to 160 degrees. So before taking your dog for a walk, a good rule of thumb is to put the back of your hand on the ground for 10 seconds. If you can hold it there without burning, then it's safe to take the pup out for a stroll. Some other tips include giving your pet plenty of water, as they can get dehydrated quickly just like you. Also, be sure to avoid taking them out during the hottest times of the day. Coming up on this special edition of News 4 Tucson, heavy rains could turn deadly in the desert without the proper response. How to avoid getting swept away during a flash flood. And welcome back to this special edition of News 4 Tucson, preparing for Monsoon 2025. Flash floods are the biggest non-heat related weather killer in the United States. In 2023, 79 people died across the country due to flash flooding. A large majority of those people were in their cars. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Stephanie Waldrop joins us now with ways to stay safe when you see a flash flood warning.
With monsoon comes big storms that drop a lot of rain in a short amount of time. This setup creates the high risk for flash flooding. Flash flooding is the second deadliest type of weather event, second only to heat. With Arizona experiencing both of these weather events during monsoon, it is important to stay weather aware. Flash floods are the most dangerous kinds of floods because they combine the destructive power of regular floods with the fast speed of a river. Flash floods occur when heavy rainfall exceeds the ability of the ground to absorb the water in a proper amount of time. Easy things you can do before the rain hits is to make sure that there is no debris in drains and gutters around your house and check that there's not already standing water near your home, especially the day after a heavy rainstorm.
You know how to plan for those future events. So whether that's getting sandbags, getting additional food and water so you have to shelter in place, finding a friend to go stay with over the weekend, or finding safe evacuation routes. Do that planning ahead of time when conditions are a little bit more dry, so when the floods do come or a storm does come, you have that knowledge and that ability to get out ahead of time.
When you know runoff might be an issue, it's a good idea to set up those sandbags before the storm hits. There are locations where you can go pick up sand for free in some communities. One thing sandbags won't be able to stop is damage done to trees that could be swept away in a flash flood. Thankfully, the city has crews on standby to clean up flood-prone areas after the rain ends.
Got a lot of trees that have been knocked down in the roadways. So not only are they working on the dip crossings, but they're also clearing the roadways of trees and limbs and other debris.
Runoff and debris are one of the biggest contributors to flash floods when heavy rain hits. Avoid roadways that have washes going through them, especially in the foothills during heavy rain, because those washes can fill up fast. It can take as little as 12 inches of water for your car to be swept away in a flash flood. Since it takes such a small amount of rushing water to move a vehicle, it is important to stay vigilant on the roadways. Always remember, turn around, don't drown. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Waldrop reporting.
Good advice, Stephanie. We will be saying those words all monsoon long. Turn around, don't drown. Take a look at this. The Tucson Fire Department is gearing up for Monsoon 2025 by performing swiftwater rescue drills. These are pictures of TFD crews practicing how to hoist flood victims onto rescue ladders. TFD is reminding everyone to never drive through those flooded washes. Flash flooding isn't just dangerous for drivers, it can cause millions of dollars worth of damage to your home and your property. If you live in a flood-prone area, make sure to have an evacuation plan ready. Have materials on hand like sandbags to protect from rising waters and plywood and plastic sheeting to make emergency repairs after a storm. Also check into flood insurance coverage. You should know that flood losses are not typically covered under normal homeowners insurance policies. Storms can be rough on your vehicle when you're out there on the road, but they can also do major damage to your home. That's why the City of Tucson's offering free sandbags to the public. They can be picked up in the east parking lot of High Corbett Field at Reed Park. Ahead of the first forecasted monsoon, sand and bags are provided. But bring your own shovel. The free sandbag program will be available until mid-September. Pima County also has 14 stations where you can fill your sandbags. You can find that full list on your website here at KVOA.com/monsoon. From sandbag stations to barricades, Tucson and Pima County officials are gearing up to help you stay ready when monsoon storms roll in. And this year they're building something new to try to prevent drivers from going around the barricades.
We do see a lot of motorists who drive around those barricades, and it's really unsafe because you don't know the condition of the road underneath that water. So one of the most frequently flooded roadway is El Camino de la Tierra at the Rito Wash. So crews are installing a gate at this location to help prevent motorists from driving through.
This will be the first gate-like within the city limits. City officials say the gate will be installed this week. Monsoon storms can cause pets to become a little bit anxious. The Pima Animal Care Center has a few tips for pet owners to help make the season a little bit less stressful for your furry friends. Loud sounds during storms can scare pets, but creating noise distractions can help. PAC says to keep your pets indoors during storms, turn on radios and have some sort of noise distraction from the thunder and the lightning that occur. PAC also says the shelter sees an increase in stray pets after a monsoon storm. So pet owners, if your dog or cat goes missing, be sure to check your local shelters. The arrival of monsoon means an increase in moisture, which is a welcoming change for many pests. And with heavy rains and flooding, this could lead to an increase in the number of mosquitoes, as they tend to experience a boom in their populations due to the favorable breeding conditions. To help fight the bite, experts encourage using bug spray during dawn and dusk and wearing long sleeves and pants. Also, be sure to remove any standing water, even small amounts, around pots of plants to help reduce a potential breeding ground. Coming up on this special edition of News 4 Tucson, a blinding sight, how dust and sand in the air may indicate you are in danger, and what to do if you are behind the wheel. Welcome back, everybody, to the special edition of News 4 Tucson, preparing for monsoon 2025. We're all excited for the beneficial rains that we need. Here's kind of the setup that we're actually begun to see here across southeastern Arizona. The heat, it's been on for the last several weeks, and it's going to continue to be on for the next several days as high pressure still bakes northern sections of Sonora. And even though we don't like the heat, it's really a crucial step that we need in order to get our beneficial monsoon rains, hopefully in just a matter of a short couple of weeks. What's going to happen eventually is that area of high pressure in northern sections of Mexico should move up to the north a little bit. When this process happens, remember, winds blow clockwise around that area of high pressure. So that's going to start steering in some of that moisture from the southeast. We have different positions of high pressure all throughout the monsoon. This is probably the most common one that we talk about when we talk about high pressure right in that four corners, but other positions work as well. The big takeaway is that we need the heat, A, we have that in place. B, that helps create the moisture, which is now in place, and then we'll see that high pressure move up either to the four corners, possibly over New Mexico, even sections of the Great Basin. We're looking okay, and so far it looks like we're off to a pretty good start, so hopefully we'll be talking about seeing those beneficial rains just in a matter of a couple of very short weeks. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Dust storms are common during the monsoon, as we all know, especially in open deserts. They are often also a precursor to severe weather that could move into your direction. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Stephanie Waldorf joins us now again with the dangers of these storms.
Dust storm, haboob, whichever term you use, these storms are a serious risk in southern Arizona, especially on certain roadways.
Makes it dangerous. Nobody wants to get on that interstate.
Grace Clark is one of the many residents who live between San Simon and Benson in Cochise County or in Pinal County north of Tucson that deal with these storms multiple times a year. Another dangerous spot is near Picacho Peak, where visibility can drop to zero in a few seconds, and many drivers do not know what to do when those happen.
The best way to drive in a dust storm is to not drive into a dust storm. If you see that big wall of dust approaching, get off the highway and wait it out. However, if you find that you are in a dust storm, our advice is pull aside, stay alive.
Flat land with no barriers and areas that have not seen much rainfall are most vulnerable, which is why I-10 between Tucson and Phoenix is the worst area for dust storms. Dust storms come from outflows of thunderstorms. A strong thunderstorm outflow will pick up loose soil and dirt and lift it into the air. The dust can be a mile high and 100 miles wide. Dust storm warnings are issued by the National Weather Service, and they can be tracked before they reach the interstate. So if you know it is a bad weather day, keep the radio on and listen for alerts. These storms can last a few minutes to a few hours and can vary in severity. If you find yourself outside and see a dust storm approaching, it is best to get indoors to avoid any damage to your lungs. If you do find yourself out on the roadways during a dust storm, not only should you pull aside, but you should also make sure to turn off your lights, take your foot off the brake so your taillights aren't illuminated, and also put on your emergency brake. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Waldorf reporting.
Thank you, Stephanie. So as a quick reminder, never drive through flooded roadways. We say turn around, don't drown. When thunder roars, head indoors. Do your part to prevent wildfires. Stay hydrated in that extreme desert heat. Never leave your children or pets in a hot car. And of course, with dust storms, pull aside, stay alive. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this Preparing for Monsoon 2025 special. Our Storm Tracker 4 team will be here for you all monsoon long, so be sure to head to our monsoon headquarters, online or on your mobile device for the latest on dangers, threats, and what to do to remain safe. I'm Storm Tracker 4 Chief Meteorologist Matt Brode. Enjoy the monsoon, everybody. I know we will.